All right, let's move on to Best Picture. Just for the record, our nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, Substance, and Wicked.
I'll take this one first.
All right.
But I'm going to speak pre-SAG, because SAG has really clouded some judgment on my part.
But how can you speak pre-SAG? You have to talk about all the...
Because it's after voting, and I have to look at it after voting.
Okay.
Before SAG took place, I was weirdly saying Anora has one lock of its 6 categories, and it was Best Picture. And it was the weirdest thing to ever say out loud to myself. That I felt like Anora was going to win one award for sure, and that was Best Picture, and everything else was up in the air, maybe. I think that's still a possibility that happens. Conclave is firmly, I think, number 2. If the preferential ballot really is it is a thing that makes this so much harder, because if it was a one and done, I would be compelled to maybe pick The Brutalist. The thing with The Brutalist, it gets so many number 1s, but then craters after that. It's not 2s and 3s. It is 5s through 10s after that. So I think I'm going to stick with that mindset of Anora if you're packaging it the way I think we're all saying, with the Adrian, Demi, Kieran, maybe Zoe or Isabella. Either of those I think works in that scenario. Baker and director, you go with Anora, and that's it.
I'm torn between Anora and Conclave, and I may call a tie because I don't know which way to go.
It's like
the first Oscar tie. You heard it here first.
I have no qualms with stating that Anora will win Best Picture no matter what. First of all, those guilds. How do you deny those guilds? PGA.
Well, because the international voters aren't represented.
But Anora won the Palme d'Or. Anora is.
But that's not even. That's
supported by the international vote, and men and women both like it. And it's. I just think it's impossible to ignore. Do you go SAG, BAFTA versus PGA, WGA, PGA?
And I have
these days maybe because I understand the precedents of that are few and far between, but I think we have to remember the preferential ballot only came back in 2010. The international vote has exploded since then. It's now 25%. I'm not sure that. For instance, I'm not sure that Bob Dylan is as valued in other parts of the world. That may be an issue for a Complete Unknown. I don't know if it would affect Anora. I think it probably helps Conclave with a quite international cast and filmmaker and all that. So I don't think I'm going to probably ultimately end up in the same place as Anne. But
you're not as confident.
I don't think I'm not confident.
Yeah. Here's the thing about Conclave.
Let me ask it this way:
it's a boiler. It is not serious.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Green Book wasn't serious.
Green Book wasn't serious.
Serious. It has a subject.
Or Parasite.
No.
Or Shape of Water.
I will say, and just to let you know, to get some stats, the last film that had SAG and BAFTA that beat a DGA PGA winner was Shakespeare in Love.
Yes,
Saving Private Ryan.
That was a while ago.
There is precedent.
I just feel like precedents are getting broken this year. I
feel
like we can hang our hat.
Records break every year. But I will say Conclave, this is what's important to remember about Conclave. It is the only movie we've seen win the top award with both international and American groups.
Yes.
Well, that is the question.
Okay, that's good. Yes. That's a good point. And
I like that.
I got swallowed up with the Everything Everywhere thing that year, and I went with All Quiet on the Western Front. And halfway through that ceremony, people were looking at me, going like, "You may be onto something." Except then it all fell apart. So I don't want to go back into that mindset, but I really am counting right now Conclave, not only BAFTA, not only SAG. I'm throwing in WGA because I'm in that guild. I'm also in SAG. I voted in both of those. I was not allowed to vote for Conclave there. I'm throwing it in where I think it would have won it, WGA. So
I'm sure it would have.
I'm sure. The other thing
there, and I voted for it. I should I say this? I voted for Conclave at SAG.
But
And
isn't it important that Edward Berger didn't get nominated? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Not really.
No,
Not
I
really.
mean, it is a factor for sure.
It didn't matter to Coda. It didn't matter to Green Book. It doesn't matter
Didn't matter
anymore.
to
It's like a
Argo.
small percentage. Here's the thing that matters is that with a preferential ballot, I understand Anora won at the PGA Awards. That was a preferential ballot. But just let's be logical. Like, it is a more objectionable. There are some people, a lot of people love it. We know that. But it is just subject matter wise, I think, more polarizing than Conclave.
I have
Conclave
never
is
heard
about
anyone complain about the subject matter of Anora, and of all the
Because-
movies that people talk about, that's the one everybody loves. I've never heard
I
anyone
don't
say
agree with that.
like
I've
it.
had-
I think they're
I
probably
I don't get
embarrassed
the
to
everybody
complain about
loves thing. I talked to one voter who turned it off, also
Yes.
turned off the Brutalist, talks the whole thing. They voted for Conclave. They're in the older branch. How many are
Yes.
still left there versus the younger one? We can play this game all day long.
No.
talking about
The mainstream voter, the publicists, the executives, the agents, all those people are going to vote mainstream. That would be Conclave. But who's going to put the most number one ballots up there passionately? That's Anora.
Are we saying, though, I mean, again, that only matters if we think Anora is going to get to 50% out of the first round, and I don't think it will.
I don't think we've ever had a movie that clinched on the.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't
Yeah.
with 10 nominees. That's not going to happen.
Right,
What
but I
matters-
think that's what Conclave has a really strong number two.
That is why Conclave can do this.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
because Conclave is,
I think it's a really good
I
point.
think, going to be very. It's not a 1 or 9 or 10. To me, it's high
Twos and
tier
Yeah,
for
it's
most
2 or
people.
3.
It's 4
Yeah.
or 5.
I think the question is, this all boils down to math. The ultimate question is, what are the first 3 or 4 movies that get eliminated first, and what do you think number
And who
2
would they
is on those ballots?
And then
that,
the
Which, by the way,
the foreign and
Sorry.
the classy are going to go Anora. They really are. It's the mainstream vote that goes for Conclave, and I would
That may
argue
well
that
be
in
right.
Academy history, although Green Book is one example of the other, or Coda, usually it's the art that wins out in the.
Final word. Just give me one final word. So your pick is
Anora.
Pete.
Conclave or Anora. I'll talk to you later in the week.
Gotcha.
Okay. Scott.
and ladies first, please.
Anora.
I'm going to essentially say what Pete said. I think right now I'm still with Anora, but I am not. I don't have to turn in for print for a few more hours, so I'm going to think about it.
It's funny. We're all in the same place
All
doing
predictions
our
are subject
ballots.
to change.
We're picking
I know.
our winners. That's funny.
Yeah, go to visit our respective websites for our final,
Yeah.
most recent.
That's what.
And then
picks.
check it all at goldderby.com. Thank you, everyone.
Deborah, who are you picking?
I know.
Yeah,
Don't you like how I avoided answering the question? I'm really torn between Anora and Conclave. Like, I know. I like
Wait,
my heart's
just reiterating
Anora.
what everyone knows. It's one of those.
No, I'm just.
Go with your heart.
My heart. So I'm saying Anora. I think the Conclave thing really not surprised me last night, but just put a little twist in it. But I'm going to go with Anora. I'm going with Anora. Thanks, everyone.
It was fun, guys.
All right.
Take care.